Hello. Okay, so this is really annoying because I already made that video yesterday. Oh, by the way, I put all the tag points in the description, so if you want to do that tag, maybe not now because the year is over, but next year, feel free to do so. I think it works as a last day of the month tag as well. Anyway, welcome back. First, meet Magret. Magret is my new blanket and my mom made it. It's so beautiful. And the thing is, she's not the most crafty person in the world, so usually she doesn't do stuff like that. And this, it means so much more that she did it for me. And it's pink and soft and 4.5 kilograms heavy. It's so cool. Look at this. It is very crumpled because I thought I don't need it anymore, so I threw it away. And then I found out I still need it after all. So we're gonna talk about my year in books. That's how Goodreads puts it, at least. I should really track my readings better. And this is definitely a goal for next year, to just write down what I read and maybe even when I read it. Like, Goodreads gives you the opportunity to select a start and a finish date. And I should totally put my, update my Goodreads on a regular basis, but I don't because it's so much work. I think I read about 55 books. I think I completed my challenge. Maybe I read 1 or 2 more, maybe not. But Goodreads says 50 books, so we'll work with 50 books now. It's just, I know there have been more, but I can't remember them. And it's just not worth looking for them now because it's like, whatever. Next year will be better. Won't, but let's not talk about it. Next year tries to be better. I try to be better. Then we'll see how it goes. So with Goodreads, with the tracking device, it says that I read 50 books, which is 17,000 pages. Yes, I have 3 books left to finish. And I will not finish them this year. It's just not happening. I have the audiobook Loveless by Alice Oseman left. I don't want to finish it this year just because I don't have that much audiobooks left. And my next washer that I can use for Audible books will probably be mid-January. So I just have to keep my audiobooks until I can get new ones. I usually listen to audiobooks when I walk the dog, or it's not my dog, so that's why I don't walk him every day. Just saying, animal cruelty. And when I go for grocery shopping, I just go outside and have to encounter people that I don't know that I have audiobooks. Because I don't like people. Anyway, then I have The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult left. I started that a week from now, I think. It's quite recent. And I have it as a book. And I have the German version of it, which is called 𝙛𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙣. Just because, well, because I bought it in German. I bought it at a retail store and therefore it's obviously German. But it's also a story about Nazi Germany, and I'll say that later again, but I find it quite weird to read about that in English because just so many names and so many places and words are just German. So if you have the opportunity to read about it in German, which I do because I'm native German speaker, then I'll probably advise you to read about it in German. I don't know why, maybe it's just a pet peeve of mine. And then, this is very embarrassing, I have left Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen. And I started that in September or even August, I can't remember. It's really embarrassing because I love that book. Well, I thought I loved that book. I used to love that book when I was 16, 10 years ago. Not quite, but nearly. And then I couldn't find it anymore, so probably I lent it to somebody and never got it back. So I thought, hey, let's go to the retailing store and get a new copy and read it again. So I did that, but for some reason I got sidetracked and never finished it, and now I can't really be bothered to pick it up. Even though I remember liking the story, and even the bit that I read, I like that. I might give it another shot. Yes, next category. There is 𝙥𝙤𝙞𝙣 by Antonia Michaelis. So the thing is, there is a shelf above my head, and there's another black heap of books, and it's in there. But also, on top of the book, on top of that heap of books is one of my cacti. And I nailed it to the wall, like not the cactus, but like with a band, and I nailed the band. Is band even the word, like piece of rope? Basically, I bounded it to the wall. So because the shelf was quite not straight, so I fear that at some point this beloved plant will probably fall on my head, especially if I now disturb the heap of books that it's standing on. So will not disturb. 𝙥𝙤𝙞𝙣 will not be getting it out there. But this is the cover. I found it online, like over here. And yes, I like all the cover. It was really hard. I had to pick 3 because it would have been way too long otherwise. My second favorite book cover of the year was, I have it somewhere, this one. That is the German version of Regretting You by 𝙤𝙤𝙞𝙣, and her name is golden and it's shimmery, and the poppy flowers, flower petals are also shimmery, and it's all really nice. The title is All das Ungesagte zwischen uns, which basically translates to All the Things We Didn't Say. Which is actually, and I think I said that already in another video, but it's actually so much more fitting as a title, because I never really got the Regretting You title, and also the cover in English with the, I assume it's the letters that's just ripped apart, but it's just not really the point of the book, so I never really got the cover decision. And the German cover is just so much nicer and so much prettier, and I'm totally, like, you can probably see it because of the light, but the background is not just white, it's rose colored, just very light rose colored, and I just love the combination of gold and rose. So yeah, that's definitely a winner of book cover number 2. That's not what I wanted. Oh, whatever. Way less enthusiastic this time. And then my most beautiful book cover of the year is the German cover of Izzy and Tristan by Shannon Dunlap. I have the dirt cover, and it looks like this. I really love the drawing, like, because it's a drawing, but It's just very minimalistic, and it's We Will Fall, a love story, and it's just, it doesn't say anything really, and I totally bought it because of the cover. In German we say Coverkauf. I don't really know if there is an English equivalent to that. That's what happened here. There will be a review at some point to Is He Interested, because I was not the biggest fan. Like, there's the last day of the Gilmore Girls readathon. I was quite enjoying it. After I finished it, it was a solid 3 stars for me. I was not too mad about it, and also not too hyper about it. It was just a solid, mediocre book. But I expected so much more when I saw the cover, just because it's such a pretty cover. I'm sorry. The cover is pretty, so it's still the best cover of the year, even though I didn't like the story that much. That's what I wanted to say. There we go, long story short. The month I read the most in was November, probably because there have been all the readathons, and the month I read the least, I don't really know, it's just a guess, but I guess it's probably September, because usually it's spring or beginning of summer that I don't really read much, but this time I spent a lot of time reading just because there was not much else to do, so I guess this year it would be September, because that's when uni started again, and September is just all filled with the welcome back and info Zoom meetings, and just you have to get a grip on what's happening this semester. So I guess that's probably the month I read the least. And most time stretch I read in a day. It was, I guess, 10 hours, like 8 to 10 hours. And it was in November when I took part in the bookly readathon, because I thought you had to read 10 hours a day, but actually you had to read 10 hours altogether. I reread 2 books, and then I had a whole bunch of audiobooks that I re-listened to. This is another category though. My 2 rereads were, that's such a weird word, rereads. So I reread Solange die Nachtigall singt by Antonia Michaelis. I read it in May again, like I read it a few years back, and then I read it in May again. I had quite the fangirl fit over it. It's so good, I love it. And then I kind of reread, because I'm not done with it, by 𝙤𝙤𝙚𝙣, as I said. It's also a reread by 𝙤𝙤𝙚𝙚𝙚. I read it the first time when I was 15 or 16, and now I read it again, kind of, because I'm not done with it. I have 6 audiobooks that I listened more than once to. All of them, I think I listened to the first time either this year or last year, and they were just so good that I kept listening over and over again. The first book of it is the Book of 𝙛𝙤 by, forgot her name, put it somewhere here or wherever. I read it in May the first time, and then I re-listened to it somewhere in September. Then Lucky Girl, yes, we just go from top to bottom. The books I listened to the most are on the bottom. So the next book would be Lucky Girl by Amanda Maciel. I listened to that book twice. I don't remember if I listened to the first time this year or last year, but the second time was in autumn this year. Then I think with also 2 listens The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas is next. I listened to that the first time in February, I think, and now I listened to it again in December. Yeah, sounds about right, this summer. Then we have Little Monsters. I listened to that 3 times. I think I started last year with the first in somewhere in autumn or winter when I walked the dog, and then the next time was in February this year, and then in summer this year. Little Monsters is also by Kara Thomas. Then the book I listened like about 4 times to is 𝙏𝙏𝙚𝙚 by Amanda Maciel. It's a really good book as well. I don't know. I don't know why I liked it so much. Probably because I'm into the whole high school drama, bullying kind of books, and that's totally it. Yes, as I said, 4 times. And then king of all is People Like Us by Dana Mealy. And that book, it's so weird that it's like home to me by now. It's so familiar that I can it's just my comfy go-to audiobook when I just need something that I already know to feel safer, or just when I'm outside I need something familiar. That's when I listen to that book. It's a boarding school story, also about, not really about bullying, but kind of, and also about cliques, and yeah, that's something that I really like to read about and also like to write about, just because I'm so interested in group dynamics and how they work. I find it really fascinating, and I think I listened to that book 5 times, so this is my total overall reread of the year, like as an audiobook, but still. So if you know me, you know that usually I try to finish every book I start, just because if I already have the book, I even finished Forever. Like, there are the books that are either so bad that I try to finish them to make like a funny review about them, because I didn't like them that much, or I find them so problematic that I have to talk about them. And then there are the books that are so good that you just have to finish them, what we all know. And then there are books that are just mediocre or boring or just annoying, and I try to finish even those, just because I feel like, even I'm quite a cynic, I hope that there is a silver lining at the end and that it will get better. They usually don't, but when I already have them, why wouldn't I finish them? But as I said, there are still books that I didn't finish. Mostly those are audiobooks when that happens, just because Audible gives you the chance to give books back that you didn't like and get a new book instead. And that's just such a good opportunity that, like, I think if physical copies would give you that opportunity, I would probably not finish some of my physical books as well, just because why would I suffer through hours of listening to a book that I don't like when I can listen to something that I like instead. Yes, so long story short, the 4 books I didn't finish and gave back to Audible were in order of, I'd say in order of giving them back, but I can't really tell you because I didn't check my Audible. So the most recent book I gave back was a week ago. It was Dreamology by Lucy Keating, and I like the narrator so much. That's why I bought the book in the first place, but it just turned out not to be my cup of tea story-wise. It's about a girl and a boy, Max and Olivia? I think it's Olivia. And they know each other from their dreams. So basically, she dreams of him, he dreams of her, and they never met in real life. And then she switches schools, and when she enters a new school, she sees Max in real life, but can they be together? And then I couldn't really say if it's fantasy, if it's real, if, yeah, no. I didn't wait for the scientific explanation if there was one. I missed it, or I just didn't wait long enough, but not for me. Then I have, and I already found that because I checked my Audible for this one. It's by 𝙤𝙤𝙚𝙣𝙏. She wrote one of my absolute favorite books in the world, The List. So when I saw that this book was written by 𝙤𝙤𝙚𝙾, I thought, can't do much wrong by buying it, giving it a shot, even though the ratings weren't too good. And now I have to say I didn't even remember the book. Like, I found it in that I gave it back, and then I started to remember that, yeah, there was a book like that, but it was just like, what I still remember is that something about a flood and our main character being in a boat paddling to her old house or to her best friend's house. And it's just so weird because I don't know if there was a dream or if that really happened to her. And if it happened, why would she be paddling on her flooded village? Like, I'm really confused, and I don't really know where the book was going. And it's, yeah, no, I gave it back. Then I have Take Me Apart by Sarah Sligar, and I think this just hit me at the wrong time because I think it's a good book. It also has very good ratings. I didn't find it particularly boring. It was just, I couldn't get to a deeper level with the characters, couldn't connect with them for some reason. But this is one of the books I couldn't read when I had it, and it just wasn't fun. So I gave it back, but I might give it another shot, like down the line, maybe later, just because I think I could enjoy the story. It's a thriller, and I think I could like the story if my mindset is right. So maybe at some point there will be a review. And then you guys will like me for this because I know everybody loves that book. It's Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I know this book is so beloved. I didn't like it. I think that I actually finished it, but I don't remember if I finished it or if I broke it up. It's not an audible read. I just had it as an audiobook, and I don't remember the ending, but I remember not liking it the way through. It was just too cliche for me and too much Twilight in a nutshell, if you want. Yeah, too formulaic maybe. It was just not for me, but I think I gave it back. Like, I couldn't give it back, but I think I didn't finish it, but I'm not sure. But it's still in the list because I'm not finishing the series, so it kind of counts, even though I'm not sure about the book itself. We'll start with the worst books, because first that's more fun, second you already know, because I made videos about that. I chose Too Physical books that I read and 2 audiobooks that I listened to. You can probably guess 3 of them. So for my physical books, it would be The Coincidence of 𝙤𝙤𝙞𝙣, just because it was a stupid book with a aggravating love interest that I wanted to smash against the wall every few pages. So it was problematic, it was annoying, it was weird, and there's no such thing as healing sex, so no. Then the second book, I'm sorry, it will be the last time that I kick it, but it was forever, and it will be forever hated just because it was so boring. It was all over the place, it was boring, it had cliche characters, it tried too hard to have original characters, but then it failed. Like, in Germany we have a saying, ein Pferd besteigen und auf der anderen Seite runterfallen, which basically means to get on a horse that enthusiastically that you fall off the other side. Like, that's what happened here, I think. Yeah, no as well. Then for the audiobooks, it's Walking Disaster, which there's a video about it. Not much to say. It was a walking disaster. It was problematic as well. It had an even worse love interest than The Coincidence of 𝙤𝙤𝙞𝙣, and I did not think that possible until I listened to it. Probably because I was in his head. That made it so much worse. Yeah, no. Never again, please. Never again. Yeah, no. And then the last audiobook that is on that list is quite a bummer for me, at least, and probably for everybody out there who watches this, because it is such a beloved book and it won awards, and it had such high ratings on Goodreads, and they even made a series out of it, like a movie series. It is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I thought I would love that book, and probably that's the reason why it's on the list, because my expectations were so high, and in the end the book just didn't live up to that, which is probably not the book's fault. But still, I found it boring. I couldn't connect with the characters. They just didn't speak to me that much, and the ending was kind of open, too open for, yeah, I know. But I liked the topic, and that's why I thought I would like it. The topic is totally down my alley. So I think I might watch the show, and then maybe I like the show better. Yeah, those are the 4 worst books I've read. Yeah, so the 3 mediocre books, so basically it doesn't necessarily mean that those are like 3 or 3.5 stars. It just means they were either so mediocre that I can't remember them, or it was okay, or it got through but didn't speak to me or anything. Books that didn't aggravate me or didn't bore me to death or didn't annoy me because they were just too plain for that or just too whatever. So those were The Children of Eden by Joey Christopher. I think it might be because it's the first book of the series. It was the same with Shiver. The first books in some series, they are kickoff books, series starters. so they are not that good, and usually they get better. Sometimes that's the case. I don't know if that's the case here. I don't want to find out necessarily, because I don't really know why, because it was not annoying in any case. It was just there, and I can live with that. But yeah, I don't have much to say about that book. Then there is The Family Upstairs, which is a quite recent audiobook of mine. I think I listened to that in November. It was okay. I don't really know. I think I had a bit too much. I don't know why I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like it, it's just it didn't. Sorry, someone's building something. They trill. It's really annoying. I don't know what's wrong with the people, but this is not a day you are allowed to do that, just saying. Yeah, so it wasn't bad necessarily. It didn't really, yeah, I don't really know what it was about. Actually, the title is quite misleading, because it is not really a family upstairs. It's different than that, and yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, it was fine. It was just, I don't know. And then last book is Fragments of the Lost, because that was just weird. I thought I was through with the book, and if that would have been the case, it would have been like 3.5 or 4 stars, because it was good. Yeah, I wasn't even half through, and there was so much more to go, and then it just got so absurd and so unbelievable and weird. It was like she wrote the story and she was fine with it, and then her editor or her publisher's company was like, yeah, that's too short, give me more, and then she just fabricated something on the end. That's how it felt. Felt like a completely different story that was so weird and surreal, and I don't know. Yeah, not saying that there are not people like this, but maybe it didn't really build up to what it was in the end. It was just so confusing. Yeah, that's definitely a mediocre read. And then my 2 best books of the year were 𝙥𝙤𝙞𝙣 by Antonia Michaelis. For those ratings, I only use books that are not rereads, just because I want to rate or shelve new books. Just saying that because I think of all of the books that I ever read by Antonia Michaelis, this is her weakest, maybe, just because it starts off really good and the whole middle is grand. It's so great. It is really spooky, really interesting. It has everything I like: theater, thrilling elements, kind of a cute love story, an interesting main character, an interesting love interest. There we go. But the ending totally ruined it for me, because it seemed like she didn't have the guts to fully go through with what would have fitted the story. And that was just a bit sad. The whole Africa thing came out of nowhere for me. I can't tell you more without spoiling you, so this is where we end this. But yeah, that's it was still one of the best reads because of all the other points I mentioned. But compared to her other books, and because I also read 𝙛𝙚𝙚𝙣 die Nachtigall singt, this would have probably been the best book, but it's reread, so it doesn't count. So the totally best book ever this year was Das Mädchen, das ein Stück Welt rettete. The English title is The Light in Hidden Places, and this is such a treasure. It's quite heavy as topic-wise. It's also about Nazi Germany, not really Germany, it's Poland, but still the whole topic. It's quite hard to get through just because it's so on your soul, but it's still such a strong story. It's interesting, lovable main character, relatable main character. She has her ups and downs. She has her moments where she's totally annoyed and wants to give up, but she also has her hopeful moments, which is so important in a book like this. And the little sister is totally sweet, and I love the little sister. The love story is in there. This book has everything. It was tragic. It was so tragic. It was so good. It make me feel so much. I can't put it into words, but yeah, read that book. And it's also based on a real person. It's not a biography or anything, but Stephanie, the person this book is about, did exist. She did do what the book says she did, and I checked her out, listened to an interview. I think she's dead by now, but yeah, great person, interesting biography, great book, best book of the year. This was the last video of the year. I hope this time the quality is better. Really annoying, but yeah. Now I'm gonna dye my hair.